Alright guys, it is I, the dupe master. You know me, you love me. Maybe you don't, maybe you hate me. I don't know. But we talked about these headphone things, and here I am talking to you. So what started the conversation? These guys. These are made in Japan in the 70s. They're Sound Dynamic MD-2STVs, and they were built under a bunch of different names. Futura is probably the other most well-known one, and those were 2895s, I believe, but they're the same thing. And when you open these up, there is a 1970 something 3.5-inch driver in there that's just stamped Japan, and I believe it said 4 ohm on it. I can't recall, but they are somewhat difficult to drive, so 4 ohm kind of makes sense. Got a little coil cord with the 6.2 or whatever they call that in American jack, and then you've got dual attenuators or volume knobs on there. And when I first plugged these things in, they sounded as if you put speakers on the end of a couple of beer cans and filled them up with gravel and turned them on. They were really bad, tinny, gross, and then if you touched the attenuator at all, it would either completely cut out or it would just crackle, and that was no good at all. So originally my thought was to just bypass the attenuator. That's pretty easy. Take them apart, unscrew them, do a little soldering, and boom, which I did, and they sounded great. And then I thought they still sound pretty hollow, pretty tinny, you know, because the driver kind of stops right about here, and there's just all this open space in there. So I got a little bit of pillow batting or quilting batting from my wife and stuck it in there, and then put them back on, and wow, they sound amazing. So then I kind of fell in love with them. Then I was talking to a friend about them. He's like, well, why not just get a little deoxit and fix those things? And I was like, does that actually work? I heard deoxit's really bad for, you know, any sort of volume knobs or sliders or anything like that. He goes, oh no, it works great. So I went off to YouTube, checked it out, and it turns out that deoxit is really bad if you're using this stuff. It breaks down the carbon, and basically, yeah, it'll be a short-term fix and a long-term detriment. So the correct stuff to use is this stuff. And I didn't even spray it in there. I just sprayed a little onto a Q-tip. I took the end off and I worked that in there, and then it just sat there going like this for the night. And then I did get a little bit on the end of a pin and got it into a couple of the holes on the top of the attenuator as well. Worked that all in, and now you can't even hear any sort of static or fuzz or anything. They do, like, you know, the top probably 10% is where all the real volume control is. If you go below that, it gets really quiet and then it goes all the way down. So they're not the greatest as an attenuator. It's not really linear, but it really works pretty well. So anyway, these are my main listeners. This is what I'm wearing today. It's the T50 RPs from Fostex. These are the Mark IIIs. If you've done anything in headphones in the last 10 years, you've probably heard of these. They're the planar magnetics that have been used for the base of a whole lot of other types of headphones. In fact, it got so bad that Fostex had to raise their price to keep people from buying these just to get the drivers to build their own headphones with. So anyway, we're gonna have some adventures. I've got these. These aren't vintage, these aren't cool, but they don't work, and that's what's cool about them. So we're gonna try and fix them, see what happens. Stay tuned.